It's once again time for PlayStation Plus versus Xbox Games with Gold, where we take a look at both services' game offerings and decide on which one is better. Both services have some heavy hitters in September, so let's get right into this. As always, let's start off with the PlayStation Plus titles. The big game this month on PlayStation Plus is the PlayStation 4 exclusive Infamous Second Son. Infamous was a great franchise on the PlayStation 3, and it came to the PlayStation 4 early on in its life, and while it was arguably the weakest game in the series, that's not saying much considering all three games were great. Second Son was also a great game. Visually, it's outstanding, some of the particle effects are insane, the world is a blast to explore. The only issue is that some of the content is rather repetitive, and it is on the shorter side, but for the most part, Second Son is a really good open world adventure. It's got an 80 on Metacritic.
Seem to be getting the hang of your new symptoms,
right? And of course, the only downside being that, nope, can't think of anything. This is pretty freaking awesome.
Another pretty solid game for Plus users is Strike Vector EX, which is a multiplayer third and first person air combat game similar to games such as Crimson Sky, and it's got a feel of Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament to it as well. You've got great dogfights with super-powered aircraft, mech-inspired ships, and there's an okay single-player mode too. Strike Vector EX has a 75 on Metacritic. We've also got two smaller games to round out the list. First up is Hugh, a puzzle platformer where you alter the world by changing its background color. You explore a dangerous gray land unearthing colored fragments on a journey finding your missing mother. The game's got a 77 on Metacritic.
Anyway, something went wrong. I turned a strange shade and became invisible. I stayed at home for weeks, watching, waiting, existing on this colored plane, and I couldn't speak to you, nor interact with objects in the mono world. So I left. I left the university where I hid away the colored tools I had created, just in case I could return. I am writing this letter with colored ink.
And finally on PlayStation Plus, we've also got Skyforce Anniversary, a old school shoot 'em up that definitely has that nostalgic vibe, and it's a pretty solid inclusion. It's got a 77 on Metacritic as well. So now moving on to Games with Gold, which just like almost every month, you've got a very good lineup. First up, the big game with Games with Gold this month is Forza Motorsport 5 Game of the Year Edition, which Forza has gotten a bit redundant, but every game is good, and for those that aren't big on racing games, you'll be able to play it as a part of your Gold subscription, which is very nice. Forza Motorsport 5 was a launch title for the Xbox One, so you can notice some of the content cutbacks, but it's still a solid game, and the Game of the Year Edition is a nice inclusion. It's got a 79 on Metacritic. Next up, we have Oxenfree, which is a great game. It's a supernatural thriller about a young group of friends who go on a trip. Supernatural beings are introduced and everything goes awry. I won't go too much into it since it's very much a story-driven experience that's light on the gameplay. If you're a fan of the Telltale games, this will be right up your alley. Oxenfree has a 78 on Metacritic, which personally I think is a little underrated.
That's what Ren made it sound like.
Yeah, but I mean...
You used to come here a lot as a kid, right? You used to come here a lot as a kid.
Something's wrong.
Next up for the two Xbox 360 games that are playable through backwards compatibility. First, we have Hydro Thunder Hurricane, which was the fully featured sequel to the original game. It's rocket-powered speedboats blasting through different areas. It's a ton of fun, and for fans of arcade racers, you're gonna enjoy it. It's got a 75 on Metacritic. And finally, the other Xbox 360 title we have is Battlefield 3, which is another nice addition. However, I question the appeal of the game in 2017. This is the Xbox 360 version, which had a lot of technical limitations, and it's an older multiplayer-centric title. Don't get me wrong, you can have some fun with it. The campaign is decent, and the multiplayer will likely receive a jolt after this, but with all the other first-person shooters on the market, I just don't know. It's an inclusion with games with gold, so it's not a big deal. Battlefield 3 has an 84 on Metacritic. So that is both services' offerings this month, and it's another close month. PlayStation 4 has Infamous Second Son, which is great, Strike Vector EX is pretty good, and the other two smaller games are nice diversions. However, with games with gold, you've got Forza 5, which is really good, Oxenfree, which is a really great game, and the two Xbox 360 games are very good too. We've got to give the edge to games with gold, but you can make an argument either way this month. What do you think? Which service did you think was better in September? Think we were wrong? Let us know in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.